So I'm Kurt Elster, you best known for hosting the Unofficial Shopify Podcast, recently hitting 1 billion downloads. We're very proud of that. So anyone who listens, thank you so much. And a recurring guest on that show, because he is brilliant and funny and a little weird, is Mr. Andrew Bedell, who is the marketing director at KeySmart, as well as doing consulting and a few of his own side gigs. The man is just one of those people who is always grinding and always having fun with it, which I think is important. And he knows more about, he'll forget more about Facebook advertising that I will ever know. I mean, the guy's just a tremendous guru at it and willing to try all kinds of fun, different things. So I thought, Derek and I talked about it, we thought it would be fun to do a live interview with Mr. Bedell, in which we go over some of the challenges, successes, ideas, and things he learned in growing and scaling KeySmart into the tremendous business it is today, so that you can apply those to your own business. And while we're doing that, please comment in the chat. Let us know any questions you have. I will ask those as well. Mr. Bedell, could you care to introduce yourself?
You always have a really good introduction for me. You always say you're the best hype man in the business. So
that was all on the fly.
Very good. Yeah. Well, so without saying too much more about myself, my name's Andy, and I'm the director of marketing at KeySmart. I've been in advertising for, I don't even know, like 10 years now or something like that. How old am I? I guess like 9 years. I started at Chicago Booth, which is the business school at the University of Chicago. Running these campaigns for $10,000 executive education courses. So it was like selling courses to high-powered business people for $10,000 for a week, and did a lot of like direct mail, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, and then came into KeySmart and helped scale KeySmart into an 8-figure business. And we continue to grow and have do a little bit of consulting, and I think that's pretty much it for me. So
it's funny you mentioned University of Chicago's Graham School of Business. While you were there, I attended that and got a certificate in integrated marketing, doing night classes. And like at no point did we ever run into each other. We met later, but we would have both been there at the same time.
Yeah. I was actually at the Booth School of Business, but
sorry.
I graduated from the Graham School as well. I did the finance. At one point, I wanted to become like a finance guy, and so I did the finance course rather than the integrated marketing. But I was in that same building in the Gleacher Center, and I was just on the upstairs. But no, we didn't meet till we also went to school near each other. We went to like Maine South, and I went to Hersey, which are close to each other in the suburb of Chicago.
Let's get to the interesting stuff for folks. Let's start with, what the heck is KeySmart?
So KeySmart is, if you've never seen it, it's like key organizer. So I'll just show it to you real quickly. You can fan out the keys. So basically, you can unscrew the sides and put your existing keys inside. It basically just organizes your keys.
Let's see it one more time. It's so cool.
So you can put things like a bottle opener on there. It's got this you can get a quick disconnect to put your car keys and keys that won't fit on there. This one has a tile location tracker in it as well. So if you lost it, you can find it on the map.
That was another one of your brilliant ideas was, hey, how can we leverage strategic partnerships? And you worked with Tile to resell the product you'd already sold to people again by adding Tile to it and making it a tech gadget.
Yep. Yeah, that was a big win for us. That was a lot of people had always asked us to add GPS to it. Well, Tile isn't actually GPS; it's Bluetooth technology, but it was it was tough to even get a hold of them. But once we got a hold of them, it was months of negotiation with them, and lots of engineering work went into it. But yeah, it ended up being a huge win for us. So it was great.
And let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, how long have you been at KeySmart?
Been at KeySmart now since 2015. So I just went off my 4-year anniversary. So yes, I started in June of 2015. So it's been 4 years. And before that, I was moonlighting. I was working at U Chicago. I was about to get my MBA, and then left there. And basically, I was moonlighting, and I started our ads for KeySmart. We it was right when Facebook video ads first came out, so we popped in some new video ads, and all of a sudden, the revenue went from about $3,000 to $5,000 a day to we got it up to about $25,000 a day. in just a few
Whoa.
weeks. Yeah.
So talk to me about that. When you first started working at KeySmart, you're killing it with Facebook video ads, and the product is still new, and you've got plenty of people to introduce it to. What was it like? What did you learn? Like quickly, what's different now?
Okay, yeah. It was it was really an amazing feeling to start because it was I'd never seen a campaign scale as much as that one did. So back then it was Facebook ads video ads were completely new. You couldn't even use video ads in the website conversion tactics. So you had to, it was something called you use video views for them, and you could get video views for dirt cheap, like under a penny. So people everybody was just getting back then everything was extremely cheap. But a lot of people then tried video and just couldn't get it to work. I had a bunch of my friends were I was killing it with video and telling everybody you got to do video, but all my friends just couldn't get it to work. And so there's a lot there's kind of a formula. We won't go into the actual formula, but there's kind of a formula for figuring out that right video, and it's taken me years and years to really kind of figure out. And now I feel like I have a pretty good handle on getting a video that will sell. But so some of the things that have changed, it's become much more expensive. There's the targeting is, I guess some of the machine learning you could say has become a little bit better, but yeah, it's so much more expensive. You can still make it work, but it's not as easy as it was before. What you really need to do is get really good video production and landing pages that really sell your product. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
You've had some success working with more like traditional West Coast LA type video production folks, including working with screenwriter Michael Jamin, who worked with Mike Judge, and he wrote for Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill and all these other things. And you mentioned that, hey, video has to be really like high production, high quality, and you have a formula for it. Give me the elevator pitch. Give me like in 60 seconds, sell me on what a good video is for a Facebook ad.
So I've worked with, I worked with Michael Jamin, and that was really a fun, really, it was a great production. But, I've also worked on, lower production stuff that's performed even better than that. So really the process really goes about figuring out what the reasons are that people really like your product. I mean, this is going to sound basic, but you're figuring out what people really like your product, and then figuring out how you can create very quick videos that, even you have that Osmo Pocket, right? The
right.
Osmo.
Oh, I love that thing.
Yeah. So if you have that, like,
Yeah,
I just bought one too. But so if you have like the Osmo Pocket, so to start, you get a piece of paper and figure out like the top, right, like the top 5 reasons that customers purchase, my product, right? And this should come from customer research. You can, send an email out, with a survey asking your customers, what were the reasons they purchased the product, and what are the reasons they like the product, or you can, look on Amazon. And there's that, the trick where you go on Amazon and you look at the reviews section, and you can just you can search certain things. You can search like things like love, or you can search just different keywords that might people would use if they loved your product, right? And so you can find a bunch of really good or the individual value points. Anyways, you want to create a list of 5 to 10 value points. You're probably not going to be able to get 10, but create a list of 5 value props, and then make a like a problem, educate, solve video where you show the problem that you'd have if you didn't have that value prop. Then you kind of you introduce the product and you solve the problem, and then you sell them on the product. So it's really capture it. And what I didn't mention is you need to start with kind of capturing attention. So it's kind of a long, confusing process, but you need something in those first couple seconds that will really capture attention. Like I was working with this company that has like a plantar fasciitis like exercise ball. And for them, like it's like I was watching all these like videos and figuring out like what do people with plantar fasciitis is on your foot when it's like a heel problem, so it hurts when you walk. And so I was watching this.
It was I'd wake up and the backs of my ankles were just so stiff it was almost hard to walk. And so like when you have a literal pain like that, and you can describe that pain to people who will immediately recognize it. We call it in copywriting, I call that agitate the pain. You agitate the pain. So immediately the relevant audience, you disqualify everyone who doesn't get it, and the relevant audience is hooked. And there's your hook. All right, so that's step 1.
Yep. And so
we get the hook and agitate the pain.
For that one, think like I was watching a video of the doctors, and that like, that TV show. And someone said, it feels like I step on a sharp rock every time I take a step. So what I did was we did like a small little video shoot where, we took a white backdrop, and then I grabbed a bunch of rocks from the back of my yard, and then just put the rocks down, and like took my my socks off and just stepped on the rocks in front of the camera. So it's like just like a nasty like look of like just my feet on the rocks.
Oh.
and so that's how the video starts, as a white backdrop with a foot just dropping on the rocks, and it gets really good engagement because it's like, whoa, what the hell is that? Like the first thing you think, but then it quickly we use copy, the right copy to say, does it feel like every step you're stepping on sharp rocks? And then from there we cut to a little video where I'm the actor, where I just run. I'm like running and I look like I'm in pain, and then then we do like the stupid thing where it like pans up, and it's like I'm like holding my foot, and then it pans up, and I'm like giving.
So this is like an ad scene on TV commercial.
And then we go and we introduce the product, and we explain it like step by step. It's like step by step how it works. Like step one, grab the track, put it down. Step two, step three, roll your foot, and like step four is be healed, and you're better now. And then I'm like running, and and I think we use an Osmo Pocket for a lot of those running scenes. It actually turned out really well. So
yeah,
because it's got like a.
If you're looking to create more video, and certainly like in 2019, video is tremendously helpful, especially in social media content. This Osmo Pocket we're talking about, and like we have no relation to it. We both just own one, and it's just a phenomenal product. I own a GoPro and I own an Osmo Pocket, and I've used, in the first week I owned the Osmo Pocket, I used it more than I'd used the GoPro in 6 months.
Yep.
Okay, so you've got this, 4 years ago, video ads helped you scale that business. And you got to a point where, all right, there was cash to burn. And at this point, we had met, we were talking, and you had you started to expand into other areas. And in retrospect, it was a mistake. But things have not always been easy. Everybody makes mistakes. Walk me through that. Talk me through some of these early learning experiences.
Yeah. So we just had so much success with KeySmart. My CEO, Michael, was a close friend, just invented it, and it did $350,000 on, $330,000 on Kickstarter without any ads, and just was like, just a, smash viral success. And then I came on and was really able to scale it after that. And it really just seemed like we had the formula. Like he would handle product development, and I would create, video. We would create video ads and run them. And then we would just kind of like create, we create KeySmart, and then we create another brand. We created this posture brand where it's probably kind of hard to see it, but it's basically you would put the thing on.
This thing looks like body armor.
Yeah. You put it on your seat. I think I gave you one. It actually,
I don't have one.
It actually is kind of nice. So you put it on your seat, and then you sit on it, and it like forces you into a good posture. So it actually did like $30,000 on Kickstarter, but then it took a long forever to come out. And I was put in charge of launching the website and launching the ads, and a couple of things. It was first off, became a huge distraction from KeySmart, because KeySmart was still kind of scaling up, and all of a sudden we're spending time on on this posture product. And it's actually scaling a company is much different than starting it from scratch, right? So it's once things are already working, and you have a kind of data points, and there's kind of like a playbook you can kind of go to. Like pretty much, I would make like a strong claim that any company that's already getting a decent amount of sales like organically, and they're not doing like advertising, and they're not doing a good thing with email marketing, and I could come in there and immediately provide tremendous amount of value to them, like through scaling. But it's it's very difficult to go from no sales to no sales, no website, no video assets. There's just from like if you think about it from like a nerdy kind of data science approach, like there's just everything's a random number at the moment. You know what I mean? You have all these variables, and you don't know anything about any of them, and you're just kind of making a stab out in the dark, right? Versus
I heard a good metaphor for this was when you're starting and you're limited in data and scope and understanding, you're in a cave with a candle. You can there's this whole big picture, but you can only see a tiny myopic part of it at any one time. And with experience and data and time comes, you get, your light gets brighter and wider, and pretty soon you have a bigger and bigger picture, and certainly life gets easier.
Yep.
So what was interesting about KeySmart was this very first product. It does really well on Kickstarter. $300,000 is nothing to sneeze at. And it starts to scale up on Facebook, and they say, all right, well, we're product designers, right? Your CEO, Michael, and he said, I could do more, and I could do other products. And they were just unrelated brands, unrelated products, solve different things. So the audiences didn't overlap. And it created a distraction for the team and for you. And so that was an initial mistake. You should have focused and doubled down on KeySmart, right?
Yeah, definitely. It ended up being just a big waste of, we ended up having to liquidate all the inventory. We were, very confident and like way over ordered for any kind of new product. We kind of alienated our customer base. You can imagine if you bought like a keychain from somebody and then all of a sudden they're emailing you about a posture product, you're like, it's somewhat strange.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to alienate your customer base through emails because they're like, this is just weird. And we were just understaffed to handle both. And we didn't have the skill. We were understaffed to handle both at the same time and didn't have the right skill sets to do it. So, all in all, it was a learning experience, that's for sure. But we should have been spending that time focusing on new product development at KeySmart and really getting, new versions of the KeySmart, or moving into kind of adjacent categories, or just building out, other parts of KeySmart. But yeah, we could have been doing a lot of different things. But yeah, they were busy.
So let's focus there on scaling when you have one core successful product. Scaling the business there. So it sounds like some of the stuff you did was you partnered with Tile. So you've got a strategic partnership. You branched, instead of branching into unrelated categories, you started adding adjacent categories like, a USB flash drive that fits on your keychain and a bottle opener that goes on the key, like those things that are natural cross sells to increase average order value. Can you talk about those or give me any other of those initial wins that worked?
Yeah. So, so one thing is the KeySmart was a single product company, right? We have the KeySmart, but we also have some accessories that go into it. So we could do, bottle openers and, little flashlight things and kind of stuff like that we've had. But, at some point the accessories only bring in so much, and, how can you keep coming up with KeySmart? So we had this, it was hard to know like where to go, right? But at the same time, when we would come out with new versions of the KeySmart, those have always been the biggest sellers. So you can, we're trying to think about it now as like kind of like the annual, kind of like the annual model strategy, that GM kind of pioneered back in like the 50s or 40s or something like that.
Well, even like that's what powers a lot of consumer tech companies now, like smartphones. Every September, guess what? New iPhone comes out, and naturally, like, we got to go buy one.
Yep. Have you ever read, there's a book called My Years at General Motors. It's like Alfred P. Sloan. He's like he scaled General Motors to like, the biggest car company in the world.
No, I'll look it up and drop the link in the chat.
Yeah. Bill Gates says that if there's one business book you should read, it's this one. But
cool.
It's interesting. It's like, it talks about like, because they were kind of a decentralized model, and the original guy who started General Motors, just way over invested. They had no controls, and he ended up like kind of going bankrupt, and the DuPont company. But anyways, there's one whole chapter on that called the annual model strategy, and it goes over all of that information about, like, their whole strategy about, retiring cars, and, because then you have to manage inventory for future, but and also then you have tooling costs, and you have to be thinking about, when this one, like, think about the iPhone. They have like different teams thinking about different models, so they have like a team focusing on next year's model, but then you have a team focusing on like two years out model, right? You have to coordinate somehow. But anyways, like that's a huge thing for us, is the annual model strategy. And we also have things like, we just came out with these new wallets that have like Tech Tough leather in them. So my CEO Michael went to a materials fair, and we found this Tech Tough leather. And it's just, it's used in like Nike shoes and some other stuff, and it's like 10 times stronger than regular leather. And it's actually really, really durable. And we also have these really nice like custom slots for Tile Slims. So the Tile Slim will fit like very, very, I had a slim one. Then we have 3 different ones. I had the slim one, but it's but we're sold out of them, so I had to give it to somebody else. So so I'm using this one now. But so then we also have these, this really nice backpack, which you have one too. And it's got the, these water bottles and nice accessories and stuff like that. So all of these have been moving into adjacent categories that really allow us to kind of expand our, horizons. They, people really like them. They're not as like catchy as the original or unique as the KeySmart. They're just more of like really nice products. And we're partnering with, we go to like material show and figure out like, what is new, like what's new tech. Even if you go to CES, they have like all these like new materials and you can kind of just like package things together. And so we're really focused on new product development as a way to kind of scale the company.
I have that backpack. I love it. It is my go-to travel bag now. One question I have about it, since it's not, you said, all right, well, can't launch unrelated products, but the backpack, is it necessarily related to the original KeySmart product in that, like the way I saw it was, well, if the audience is young professionals and they want convenience in really like carrying personal everyday gear, so it's like a kind of everyday carry, which one of my favorite categories to work in, is it that like, all right, we've got this backpack, and so we know that we've got like a premium bag that will speak to our core KeySmart audience. Like, what was if I were a fly in the wall at KeySmart, 2 years ago when this was being developed, what did that look like?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, everyday carry is about like the things that you carry every day, obviously. And it's really more about things that you put in your pockets. But at the same time, a backpack is like kind of like the ultimate base for an everyday, for all of your stuff, right? So we wanted to have like a backpack because that can kind of be the home to, to everything. And then we kind of innovate from there. So we made like, nice organizational units, and, we're going to come out with a new version. And it also was a good move so a lot of people who like the kind of stuff that, like gear, they also like backpacks. So we, surveyed our customers, and they would, they said they would be interested in a really nice KeySmart backpack. It has a special pocket for KeySmarts. There's actually, strangely, there's a company called Bluffworks right now that just came out with chinos that have a special pocket just for KeySmarts. So that's kind of cool. They called us up, and they're also selling like KeySmarts. So we do we're also doing another thing. I know we're kind of running low on time. So another thing, besides so it is difficult to figure out what are those ways to expand. So a wallet, and those are just kind of like everyday carry items that you would use every day. And we figured we have a large email list. We have hundreds of thousands of emails, and we can let's find things that they would like, that we can kind of create, that we think we can create better than other people, and that'll be that people use every day. Another thing that we've done to really help scale is getting into licensing. So we have licenses with like Mossy Oak and Army and Star Trek, and we're talking to other people, some big brands, like somebody who might have just had like a huge movie recently, but some really some big brands that can really help us. We found for that it really helps us to scale our Facebook advertising, because then we can target for Mossy Oak, and there's several million Mossy Oak followers on Facebook, and I can target them.
Very clever.
Yeah,
so
and that's really helped out.
The licensing deals where you do a branded version of your product helps you access a new adjacent audience that you wouldn't previously be able to get to.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you. I can tell you the ROAS, the return on ad spend, is better for that than just general KeySmarts for that group. So
interesting. Okay, yeah. Lightning round. What's your number one tip for dealing with the increasing costs of Facebook advertising? You got 15 seconds.
It really is just figuring out what your customers want and making video ads that quickly and clearly demonstrate that. If you'd like some more help with that, happy to help you. My email address is andy@andybd.com. So andy@andybd.com.
Very good. I'll throw that in the chat as well. What advice would you have for a company that is starting to scale? So they've validated their product, it is selling consistently, and now they say, all right, we want to get to the next level.
Don't wait too long to do new product development. You should be thinking about accessories that can increase the average order value today, as well as follow-on products that they can buy later, as well as maybe those can become lead-in products too. But if you wait too long, you'll be getting less traffic to your website, and so you won't be able to test things as well. I've kind of been there and seen the testability kind of fall off.
Did you say your domain name was andybd.com or andybdl?
andybd.com.
andybd.com. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And lastly, what's the big, when starting out, what is the big difference, the key difference you think between scaling and starting? Yeah.
Honestly, so scaling so starting is honestly like, it's like an artist's job or something. It's like really like design work is, it's so hard to get things right. And it's about coming up, but you don't have any validation. And it's really more of like coming, that's why to me, you see a lot of people who are starting things that are like, fashion or artists, or, they're just, they have that kind of creative, they probably didn't go to business school. You know what I mean? They probably went and they probably got a, some kind of, engineering, some kind of mechanical engineering or a fashion degree or an art degree or something like that. And they're more of like dreamers, and they can kind of see a vision and they want to make it. Whereas scaling is more like, that's why I think where I was, my path to becoming like an MBA, like that's where it helped with scaling, because it was, was able to kind of look at the business problems and think about it. I'd already been in those situations, with large ad spends and stuff like that. It's really like looking at the data and being able to kind of, figure out from what I'm seeing, how can I keep going? But that doesn't, just because you can look at the data, if you just ask the best data analysts in the world, to start from scratch with nothing, and they will probably not do as well as, like a builder would. So.
All right. My last question for you, sir, is when you joined KeySmart, there's 5 people. Now there's over 20. As a business scales, the team often has to scale as well. What are some of the challenges you faced with scaling the team?
Yeah. So, I remember I got KeySmart to like, honestly, it must have been like $80,000 a day in sales. And, the shipping team totally broke. Like that, it wasn't their fault really, but the shipping team totally broke, and we were like way, way behind on, we just couldn't keep up. And so you start to see that, as you scale out, different pieces of the business will start to break. You'll keep finding different bottlenecks, right? And so as you're finding those different bottlenecks, it's better to kind of, they're going to happen no matter what, but it's better to stay ahead of them than to wait for things to come into complete chaos, right? I think the shipping team was kind of scared to even tell us how far behind they were, and it just exacerbated the problem. But the other thing is that, like, I was more of an analytics and really what you would call an ads manager. So somebody who had just experience in the ads markets. I didn't have much experience with websites or even design. I think I've told you before that I created a banner ad one time in Paint, like Microsoft Paint. And because I didn't know I couldn't figure out like the layers and everything like that.
And you're still tremendously successful.
Yeah. But think about, I realized very, very early on that I had a need for video ads. And so I needed to hire a videographer, and I don't know anything about video. So it's very difficult to hire for roles that you don't know about. Right. And so it's, if you, like a really good book is called The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. He's one of the co-founders of Andreessen Horowitz, which is a really successful venture capital firm. But he really talks about how, like all the struggles that you go through with not, how do you hire for complete roles that you couldn't do yourself, right? And so he talks about, just jumping in and trying to do the job and figuring out what the complications are. Maybe you might suck at it, but just go, try to do it for a little bit, and then also become good at hiring. You need, like that's really important. Like understanding what roles you need, but then figuring out like how you can hire well. There's a lot of books on, like, there's a book called Who out there that's supposed to be really good on, I've read, that's good on hiring. But yeah, just learning, how do we figure out what we need, and then how do we actually make sure that the person, even though, because I don't know how to do this, it's hard to figure out what, do they know their shit or not, right? So you have to really kind of figure out, like, really a simple way that I'll go through real quickly is to write down the problem that you're having, and write down a couple problems that you want them to solve after that. And then ask them, create an interview where you ask them to, to explain to you how they would, given that problem and those constraints that you have, feel free to ask questions. How would you solve this problem, right? And if you write, you create like an Excel sheet, and you ask it's the same thing to each person you interview, and you rate them 1 to 5, and you bring other people into the, have other people interview, you switch off asking questions and recording. But that's a good way to really kind of hire people to figure out, like, do they really know what they're doing, and can they really, solve this problem? And by the way, you could probably also just, set up interviews like that, even if you weren't going to hire people, just to kind of, rob people and figure out how they would, solve your problems for you. But it's probably not the most ethical thing. But, so that was a huge, huge problem. Another thing is just, communication becomes so much more difficult when there's tons and tons of people. When you're yourself, where all the balls are, lie. But when, you have a couple people, around you, some people are getting some information, some people are getting other information, you have to make sure everybody gets the same information. And then building out like a project management building out project management suite and actually following it has been a huge success. So yeah, those are some of the challenges we've had of growing. But it's also great when it starts to work, because then it's like you have so much more time, and it's beautiful. So it's definitely worth doing, but don't wait to do it till it's too late.
Give me your number one tip for a Shopify merchant looking to scale. You have 60 seconds.
My number one tip for Shopify. Well, again, I'm just going to go down the route of video ads and really create. I've seen video ads that have brought people, from, no e-commerce revenue. Like Cozy Phones was doing like almost nothing, and, maybe like $20,000 or $30,000 a year on Shopify. And we brought them to like about $1 million within 6 months of me kind of working with them. And what we did was we really just kind of figured out, what were the reasons that people were, liking, that they liked, what were people saying, and then from there we created, a great video that was pretty low budget, and it really just scaled up. So
sounds like the cornerstone of these successful ads. So to scale, you need these successful ads where you get a really positive ROAS. The trick there is video that tells a story that resonates, and that's based off of customer surveys, audience insights, and just like old school, sending your customers a survey with a few questions. Hey, what was the benefit you got out of this? Who did you recommend this to? Did you recommend it? Those kinds of questions.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Beautiful. Mr. Derek Haney, are you there?
I am here. One other book that kind of describes that is called Ask. It's like
that's wonderful. I will grab the link for Ask as well.
It's a good one. So yeah, it's funny. The advice is ask them what they want and then give it to them.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Yeah, there we go. Ask as well.